In 2021, Subaru discontinued the STI, leaving a massive hole in the market in my opinion. And if you guys have been around this channel for any sort of time, you'll know I absolutely love my Subarus. I still have my 17 STI back here in my overflow spot. I've got my 98 RS that we're turning into a really sweet STI conversion car that's gonna be absolutely gnarly. And I do think Subaru did try to fill that void the best they could with their WRX, but I do think that thing had its shortcomings. And that's why I wanted to get one of these. We picked up a 2024 GR Corolla Circuit Edition, and let me tell you, I have not felt this way about a car since I originally got my STI. Toyota has absolutely killed it with the GR Corolla. In my honest opinion, this thing feels like a very refined VA STI. If you don't know what a VA STI is, it's a 2015 to 2021 STI, and this fixes all of the shortcomings that I felt like I had with the VB WRX. I'm not saying that the GR Corolla is an absolutely perfect car, because I don't believe any car is a perfect car, and it definitely does have its shortcomings, which we'll get into here in a little bit. However, I think Toyota absolutely killed it with filling the void where Subaru either got pushed out of the market. There's the conspiracy that Toyota may have kind of convinced them to stop selling the STI when they came out with the GR Corolla, because it may have been too much of a direct competitor, because Toyota does own, was it about 20 to 30% of Subaru? I don't necessarily believe all of that, but I mean, it is a possibility. We did get rid of one car, but that car has been for sale for months. It was my 911 that recently sold, and as soon as the 911 sold, we went out and got this thing. So let's actually do a run through of the GR Corolla, because, and I'm gonna preface this now, I am gonna be comparing this car over to the VB WRX because it is the most realistic direct competitor to this car. So I think it's a fair comparison. I just don't want you guys thinking I'm bashing the VB WRX, because I genuinely do think it's a good car. I have owned 3 of them, and there's just, there are shortcomings with the VB WRX that I feel like the Corolla picks up very well. Start running through the car, because I know a lot of people are interested in these things. I was interested for quite a while in these because it essentially is, in my opinion, Toyota's version of an STI. It's an all-wheel drive 1.6 liter 3-cylinder that is turbocharged, making 300 horsepower, and I believe it's around 278 foot-pounds of torque. And one of the key things that made an STI was that it was from a base Impreza. That changed in 2015 as they kind of split the chassis off, but I mean, it's the same principle here. It's a Corolla that's been souped up. At the end of the day, the car is still a Corolla. I don't care what you say. It's a Corolla. Just like an STI, not so much the one back there, is still an Impreza. So just like most cars in this price range, it's not a pretty engine bay to look at, but it doesn't matter. This thing performs pretty well and is pretty stout. If you guys have seen pictures of these engines torn apart and just look at the sleeves are incredibly thick on them. Now, I'm not saying you can turn these things up to the moon on a stock block, make all the power in the world. However, they are pretty thick sleeves. These things are making 300 horsepower out of that's 100 horsepower per cylinder. That's nuts. And with this thing being all-wheel drive, we do have a transmission and a transfer case with a drive shaft going to the back side of the car, rear differential with clutch packs, kind of similar to how Subaru did it in their STI. But let's address the elephant in the room real quick. Will this catch on fire like some of the other ones out there have? Bought a fire extinguisher just in case, but from what I've seen, it seems to be a PCV or crankcase issue with excessive buildup. They can heat up and then start a fire. I don't know the validity of how many cars that may or may not apply to. I think so far it's only happened to 2 cars, but it, you know, it is, we got insurance. As for Toyota avoiding warranties, listen, I'm gonna modify the car anyways. It's gonna void the warranty. I'm not stressing a warranty on a car that I'm gonna modify. That should be applied to any car. If you're gonna modify the car, expect your warranty to be void, and expect if something goes wrong with the powertrain, if you're doing engine modifications, you're gonna have to cover it out of pocket. As a Subaru enthusiast and an STI entrepreneur, whatever you wanna call me, something I do absolutely love about what Toyota did with this is it's a Corolla. It's a hatchback. What have we all been asking Subaru to do for years? Make an STI hatchback or a wagon, the Levorg. They made them all, we just never got them in the States. I said I was gonna compare this thing over to the VB WRX because it is a fair comparison, so I just wanna get that out of the way now because I know people are gonna ask. I've had a couple VBs. The one that you guys might be the most familiar with was probably my 2022. It was a World Rally Blue model. We did a whole bunch of modifications on, and the car never really resonated with me too much. I always felt like the car was lacking personality. Subaru could have done a lot of things better in it, and they just didn't. And the biggest gripe I've seen people have with the GR Corolla over to the VB WRX has always been price. The GR Corolla is $10,000, $15,000 more expensive, and that's not necessarily the case anymore 2 years later after the release of these cars. Yes, when this car initially came out, Toyota dealers were marking them up rather excessively. Come to 2025, Subaru has now discontinued their base model WRX, and their premium is now their lowest trim, and they've also done a price increase on top of that. So if you were to go out and buy the lowest trim WRX right now, you're looking at spending around $38,000 to $39,000. Or if you go out and you buy a Core Edition GR Corolla, you get one for about $40,000. So I don't think that the argument that the Corolla is overpriced compared to the WRX is really a valid argument anymore. I mean, this one I got just under MSRP. There's plenty of them that I've seen. There was a Circuit Edition north of me for about $37,000. It was lightly used with a couple thousand miles on it, but still, that's not a bad deal for a Circuit Edition. Both cars are all-wheel drive. The Corolla does come with adjustable differentials. You can set it up as 60-40, 70-30, 50-50. It's got different driving modes. You've got a full digital display in the dash that's pretty customizable, to be honest. And the interior design of the Corolla is honestly it's a little more driver focused in my opinion. And the quality of materials used in this car are better than that of Subaru, and that's coming from somebody who went through and swapped out all of the interior components in his WRX for the higher trim Alcantara bits. And the other thing that actually has me like over the moon with this Corolla that the WRX did not have, yes, this car is direct injection just like the WRX is. So if you want to go to make more power in the future with the WRX, you are capped by your direct injectors, whereas this has Toyota's D4S system. So yes, it has 3 direct injectors, but it also has 3 port injectors. And when it comes to tuning these things, you can just reflash the stock ECUs with ECU Tech. Well, yes, you still have to keep all of your emissions related components. That's a huge thing. That is an absolutely huge thing. I've been saying for years, if Subaru took Toyota's D4S and they implemented it into the WRXs, it would be massive. The performance stuff aside, I am using this as my new daily driver. I still have my truck, which we take whenever we need to, but with this being my daily driver, the Corolla offers so many more amenities that I've had in any other car. Like, it has heated seats, and I've had cars with heated seats in the past. A heated steering wheel though? That's wild. I've never had a car with a heated steering wheel. I saw that the other day, I turned it on. It's got lane assist, adaptive cruise control, intelligent manual transmission, so you can turn on a button that will auto rev match for you on downshifts if you really want to. It's got so many freaking features that it blows my mind. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you like the WRX is an absolutely terrible car, because I don't think it is. I think that on the used market, if you had a little bit of a less budget to do, the WRXs sell cheaper on the used market than the GR Corollas do. It looks like that the GR Corollas are holding their resale value better than the WRXs are, but that's not to say that the WRX is still a bad car. I think the WRX, and I'll stick with what I said before, I think the WRX is an awesome car for somebody who wants a daily driver with a couple bolt-ons in that price range that they can have fun with. I think it's a phenomenal car that's still all-wheel drive and a sedan. Can't go wrong with it. But I think if you're looking at it from a performance aspect and you want a little bit more out of the car, I would realistically take the Corolla, to be honest. I mean, even the wheels are freaking sweet. The factory wheels are BBS, they're forged BBS wheels made in Japan for this car. In my honest opinion, the GR Corolla reminds me of a company that's taken a car that made everything about like the WRX great. And they saw an opportunity where the STI was no longer around, and they took all the qualities of the STI that we have wanted over the past 4 years since it hasn't been around, and they put it in that thing. And it's a really good car. It's a really good car if you haven't driven one yet. Obviously, if you're coming from driving like a high horsepower car to going something like this, obviously it's gonna feel a little bit boring because it's not 600-700 horsepower, but it's not meant to be out of the box. Out of the box, I think Toyota did a phenomenal job, but one gripe I do have with this car is it is entirely too quiet. So I already have an exhaust here for it. We're gonna make this thing sound just a little bit better. Looks like Toyota programmed in a soft limiter, which is whatevs. Regardless, it's way too quiet. So we're gonna go fix that, and then we're gonna go drive this thing, because this thing is an absolute blast. And it's gonna, I guarantee you, it's gonna make you want, all the exhaust comes out the middle right now. Come on. I found an AWE Touring that was still brand new in box for a GR Corolla on Marketplace for a pretty sweet deal. I knew I was gonna order an exhaust anyways, and I use the AWE stuff on everything. We actually have an AWE track on our GTI. I have an AWE Overland on my Tacoma. We had the AWE Touring on my VB WRX, and honestly, that's one of my favorite exhausts. It's not over the top where it drowns everything out, but it's just enough to be able to hear the car. With this having 3 mufflers, I don't quite know how it's gonna sound, but one of the complaints I have with the stock exhaust is dude, it's so bassy. The entire car shakes from that factory exhaust. So I think that AWE is gonna be an awesome option. It's an exhaust. It can't be that hard to do. I see a couple exhaust hangers. We have the valve that's got to come out of the factory exhaust and bolt onto that one. Seems easy enough, so let's get this Corolla up in the air and put a better exhaust on it. Stands here. Oh yeah. Are like 12s and 14s. This is very like Subaru-esque, man. I'm just saying, it reminds me of that. Not that specific one, but like a newer chassis. So we've got our valve here, which looks like it's just held on with some 10s, an electrical connector, exhaust hangers. This is all one piece. Jesus Christ, dude. I'm gonna get the quick jack set up. I don't wanna do it. I'm gonna be a baby. Now let's change an exhaust, now that I actually have room to work down here. I'm going under. But yeah, oh dude, there's miles more room down here. Okay, there we go. There we go, mate. Do not fall on my head. All right. Jesus Christ, dude, this thing's huge. Oh. Oh my God. Look at the size of that muffler. Actually pretty light, considering the fact. Stock exhaust out. I guess we can start putting in our AWE. So with this one, this should be pretty easy. Slide on, exhaust hanger, bolt it up to it, and this piece will hold on. You got a GR Corolla, you want a decent exhaust. AWE, man. Oh! I think that's how you pronounce it. Oh! We'll go on the other side. No, this side. Edge. New exhaust sounds great, dude. I don't know why, but a little 3-cylinder sounds way more aggressive. So inside of the car, I couldn't be happier with this. We have heated seats, a wireless charger. We've got our drive mode. So right now we are 60% front, 40% rear. If I spin this dial to the right, it'll go 70% rear, 30% front. If I push it, it'll say track, but it goes 50-50. Additionally, we've got other modes like sport mode, normal mode, eco mode, and then you can set up like a custom mode in here also. So I want to get a little bit of driving in here. Down here we've got a button that says IMT, and that's the intelligent manual transmission. So I'll turn that on for now. All that does is just match your downshift, so it'll rev match for you. You've got heated steering wheel over here, odometer, trip, fog lights, brightness adjustments. One of the things I actually love about this in comparison to the WRX, and like I said, this video is not meant to be digs at the WRX or anything like that, but I personally really like having buttons for my HVAC, my heated seats, and everything like that. I get Subaru put theirs in into the whole display and everything like that, and personally I never liked it too much. Like, I lived with it, but it was never my favorite, you know what I mean? The entire digital display is pretty customizable too. You can change a lot of the stuff on here in like a custom setting, or if you go into the steering wheel. But dude, for a 3-cylinder, this thing sounds nuts, man. Let this come down a little bit in revs, and we'll downshift and I'll show you guys the rev match. But it's pretty sweet. I don't use it, I haven't found myself using it often, but it's a nice little thing. And like I mentioned earlier, some of like the amenities that you have lane assist, adaptive cruise control, blind spot detection monitors, parking sensors. You have all this crazy stuff in this car, which it's not necessarily needed in my opinion for a sports car like this, but if you're using it as a daily, it's nice to have. See, watch. That's pretty sweet. That's pretty freaking sweet right there. Once again, I don't find myself using the rev matching downshifts and all that stuff too often, but having an exhaust on this dude, oh my god, it makes it so much more fun. It really does. You can hear everything, and for a 3-cylinder, like I said, it's got a weird growl to it. So like, I genuinely think for the price and the comparison out there, this is such a strong contender for what's in the market. Because what are you competing with? The VB WRX, GR Corolla, the Elantra N, I think is still one of the ones out there. I don't know if they're still making the Veloster or not, but that could be a contender, I guess. The GTI, the Golf R. But even so, like since Subaru got rid of their base model WRX, they did a price increase. That puts the WRX right in line with the bottom tier Corolla. I mean, bottom tier WRX, bottom tier Corolla, they're roughly the same price. I was looking online last night, like I said, 2025 lowest trim premium level WRX comes in at $39,000. That's insane for a WRX now. That's absolutely insane. The auto rev match is kind of fun, and you get factory turbo noises. Those are a couple other things that I appreciate Toyota doing for this. Like, I feel like this car, and this is the only GR car from Toyota right now that's actually fully produced by Toyota. Engine's Toyota, it's not Subaru, it's not BMW, it's 100% Toyota right here, which I think is dude, for a 3-cylinder making 300 horsepower, this thing is an absolute blast. It's a blast, man. Yeah, so this changes. Now you can go in adaptive cruise mode, where it's got the compass, your PSI levels, fuel economy, and surprisingly enough, 28 miles a gallon, and I've been driving this thing pretty aggressive. Not bad. Good fuel economy. Okay, so we have lane assist on. I'm gonna drift towards the lane edge and see. Oh my god, I can feel it pulling me back in. Let's try going this way. Dude, that's nuts. What I like about that too is you have to intentionally turn it on. You have to go into the setting, hit the button to actually utilize it, versus it just always being on. I'm not saying other performance cars do that, but I know some, I don't want to say like commuter cars, but like A to B style cars, they do that, where it's just always on. So it's kind of cool that you have to go in here and turn it on. For daily driver use, man, it's everything that you'd want out of an A to B car and a performance car. And with it being a hatchback, you have so much room. The rear seats fold down. You can shove a whole bunch of stuff in here. It's got back seats. If you got dogs like I do, you can toss your dogs in the back seats. These bucket seats from Toyota actually feel really good as well. I like it. And they did this nice like little blue stitching stuff everywhere in here too, which is a nice little addition. I'm just saying, if you're somebody who's contemplating one of those cars that we talked about earlier within this segment, this would be my #1 choice. It would absolutely be my #1 choice. Fuel economy and fuel range isn't bad either. I get the first tank of fuel, I think I averaged like 320 miles on a tank, which is, and that's coming from like my Tacoma daily driving mad, dude. That thing just guzzles down fuel grand. Two things that bother me in the interior of this car though: no armrest in the center. They do make an aftermarket setup for that, and no pocket in the door, like upper pocket piece. I like my upper pocket piece. I'm going back into sport mode. I like sport mode. It says we're in a construction zone too. Like, how does it know? How does it know that this is an active construction zone right now? It's a very responsive feeling car. Brakes feel great. Steering feels great. Pretty sure it's an electric steering rack, but it's honestly a pretty damn good one. Seats do a really nice job of holding you in too. But yeah, dude, like, it feels so planted and it feels so good. But that's all I've got for you guys on this one. I am super excited for this little hatchback. It is, driving this car reminds me of how it was when I first got my 2017 STI. And I'm excited to drive it. It's fun to drive. It's engaging. It's easy, and it's just a good time. So there will be more GR Corolla content coming. You guys know me. I can't not modify anything. As you guys have already seen, I've had this car 2 days. There's already an exhaust on it. But with that, that's all I've got for you guys on this one. If you're hyped with the GR Corolla or the Subaru, because we're going to be jumping back on our 2.5 RS tomorrow, building the engine harness for that car, go ahead and hit that like button, turn it black, blue, green, yellow, purple, silver sign, whatever color it turns for you. And let me take out this clip. If you're not already subscribed and you want to be, I'll put it in one of these corners. No idea which one quite yet, but with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out, homies.